So this comes from Michaela, who asked, whoever loses, do you think they deserve to be in the college football playoff? Mike, I want you to answer this first, and then we'll get your take, Chris.
I would say it depends on how bad they lose. If they lose too bad, then, I think the season, as far as getting in the playoffs, is pretty tough. But if it's a close game, you lose by 3 or touchdown, it's possible you get back in there, man, because it'd be the first loss of the season, and it'd be to a top 4 team. So I think the college football committee will have something to think about, depending on the result of the game.
Chris, what do you think?
I think everything Mike said is spot on. I think it depends on how you lose this game, and then also it's 2 versus 3. So you've got two top, like Mike said, 2 top 4 teams playing against each other, and it'll be their first loss. But I also think you have to factor in the injury aspect, like who comes out of this game less healthy, right? Because that could determine who goes into the college football playoffs and what they look like going into the college football playoffs, because nobody wants a injured, hampered team, right, that's not operating at 100% to go and play against a Georgia, right, because that's not going to be fair. So I think it just depends on how they lose, how much they lose by, and if it's a pretty or an ugly game.
I believe that both of these teams has a case for playing in the college football playoff for a couple of reasons. The first is that Ohio State and Michigan have the highest scoring margin in college football ahead of Georgia. They're number 2, number 3. It's the first time both of these teams have been undefeated, playing at the same time, 11-0 since 2006. And that was 1 versus 2. But also because, look, you're talking about 2 really good football teams, and that's what you want in the playoff. You want 2 really good football teams. Now, it can happen in the SEC. I don't understand why it can't happen in the Big Ten. It doesn't really matter to the college football playoff whether or not you win your conference championship if they believe you are good. Now, to your point, if Blake Corum can't go, they might hold that against him, because they certainly did against Tennessee, as well as getting 63 hung on their head by South Carolina.
Right.
But I think a natural follow-up to this question, again to you, Mike, first, is where would they be ranked, let's say, if they did lose by those single digits? The loser.
I would say they'd probably be 5 or 6. Typically, that's how it goes when you lose to a top 5 team. If it's a close game, I think they don't go too far down. I think, like I said, it depends on how bad you lose. If you lose bad, you may find yourself at 10 or 11 or something like that. But I think it shouldn't be that much of a drop-off whoever loses this game if it's a close game.
Chris, where would you put the loser?
I'd put them at 5. I think, again, we're looking at the schedule, looking at this is a game 2 versus 3. This is the game, one of the biggest rivalry games in college football. It may not result in, the most sexy or glamorous game.
Right.
But at the same time, usually these games are never really in that fashion. So I would put them at 5 just because, again, 2 versus 3, first loss, I would put them at 5.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.